playing around with the idea of doing a podcast. I've been teaching a bunch of skill sessions for adult hockey players, and I started like a adult learn to play at my local rink, where every week we teach like adult hockey players that have never had practices before. We go through like pro skills and run them through an actual practice. And I've been reluctant to like help kids out or coach any kids leagues. But this has been something that's been like fun for me, and it's easy. It's like the easiest form of coaching for me to get into. So, but with that being said, I have a lot of friends that I play hockey with that are just starting up that have been asking me like, hey, what should I be doing for exercise? And hey, what are some like mindsets to exercising for this stuff? And of course, like I can give answers, but I thought about it in like a creative way and was like, oh, this might be a cool opportunity to have like my friends that are personal trainers or own gyms or are involved with fitness. Like, you know, we're both, you know, you're 30, right?
27.
29?
No, I'm still young.
27. So you're coming up. Yep. I'm 32. So you're
great.
coming up on 30.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where it's just like the number of people that stay active and are interested in like hockey at a competitive level and stuff like that, as you get over 30, like kind of drops off. And so I figured it would be like a cool resource, and worst case scenario, it's like some fun stuff to chop up and throw on my social media site and share with people and have some friends on and chat with them.
Yeah. So you're just you're kind of like looking for like advice for me as far as like how to set up programming and just kind of shoot ideas back and forth, or are you looking to just get this out there in a podcast form that you can share with people?
Yeah, I think we just maybe have a conversation. You have a cool story because you went through, I don't know the actual name for it, but the ref like program, and that has like obviously fitness level.
Yeah.
And that's like a really cool, unique thing where I don't think a lot of people think about when they're getting into hockey. Is I think a lot of the guys that I skate with would be good refs. There's being here in Kansas City, there's not like a huge exposure to that kind of stuff. And I think I met one guy. I was working for the Mavericks last year, Addison Brush or Addison Britt.
I know Addison.
Yeah, he knew you and had a lot of nice things to say about you, but stuff like that where there's like this whole community of people behind the scenes that have to stay fit and like are involved with fitness and nutrition and diet into their like late 20s and 30s and at a high level and competing really hard. And like people don't know anything about that, but hockey, like adult hockey players, there's like a lot to learn. Like a lot of those guys could probably benefit or might even like find an interest in being a referee, you know?
Yeah. It's just another way to stay active, I think, right? Especially at that age, you're not going to go pro, I don't think. If anything, you might dabble into maybe college club, and that's really about it. But at that point, it's just for, just get extra ice time, really.
And I think around here, they don't pay a lot, but I still think it's like $20 to $40 per game. And the ice in the rink that we play at is pretty cool. It's an ECHL arena, so you're getting to skate on like pro ice. Like that's a pretty cool experience if you're like looking to get into hockey and you maybe don't have a team to join or something like that.
Yeah. That's right. That's just like, I don't know. it's a little bit extra income too. So that's like the biggest thing. Like in men's league, like there's people that do both, right? There's people that play and then refs like in the same league. So
I've met all those guys. Those are the guys that you always like give an extra cross check to when you're playing against, because you know they probably put you in the box before. So
yeah, that's right.
Those guys.
Yeah.
Do you are you I know for a while you took off drinking. Are you still drinking? Do you drink or?
I very rarely do. I'll probably have like a drink or two like once a week, probably. I don't like I used to at all.
Me either. This is the stuff that I've got here is called Well-Being. It's non-alcoholic beer.
Oh,
it's pretty cool stuff. This is called the Sports Brew. the first like NA beer that I've tried that tastes like a beer.
Yeah.
It's been almost a year and a half since I stopped drinking. I stopped drinking September 31st of 2019.
Why'd you stop?
You know what? I've never been a big drinker. Like this whole like 16 years that I've been drinking, every time I drank, it didn't fit me, and it was something that made me feel bad. Yeah. Like the day after, and I had some gut issues like 5 years ago where I started really focusing on probiotics and like food allergies and elimination diet and taking things out and seeing how I felt. And for some reason, like I stopped drinking alcohol, and I totally don't miss it. If anything, I feel like my body composition has changed a little bit. I don't carry like fat around my neck. Yeah. Which is weird. Like for some reason, when I was drinking, I felt like I had like a fat face all the time.
Well, you were never like a big guy, like you're, that's so I wouldn't have ever thought that. But yeah, I just there's so many like, and the thing is, in like the ref community, like everybody drinks. Like that's kind of like the thing. It's like, it's like it's just what you do. Like after a game, you have a beer, or you go to a bar and you have a beer. Like that's what you would do, and so. Like that didn't really quite fit me after a while. And I'm just like, this isn't really helping me at all to feel better about myself. And besides, like when you train, the negative effects of alcohol, it reverses your muscle growth. Actually, it does the opposite effect of hypertrophy. So that's why I stopped, and it's helped. Like you feel better. You just don't feel as lazy all the time. And you recover quicker, which is a benefit. So I just stopped. If I drink, it's just because I'm controlled about it, and I can do it in the moment. It's great, I'm not obsessed with it.
It's hard too, especially like the communities we live in. Buffalo is a huge drinking city, and Kansas City is too, especially with football and the NFL and cold weather. Like Kansas City's not super cold, but it's chilly enough where our winters are hardy and people enjoy like drinking heavy, whether it's after the hockey game or before a football game. And like culturally, that was maybe the hardest thing. Yeah. Like I found out little like tricks to make it look like I'm drinking or trick myself. I really like ginger beer. When I go out, if I have like a couple ginger beer shots, it's like it's spicy enough where it kind of tricks me into doing it. I also like to buy shots for other people, and I'll have the bartender pour me a shot of water or like a soda water with bitters in it, and it's like you take a shot with everybody else, and it makes you feel like you're kind of included in stuff. Yeah. I have no problem holding a beer either, but most people, all my friends, kind of know now where it's not really an issue. I do dabble in some other recreational substances when I go out, and so it's people are kind of cool about it because they know I don't drink, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not having a good time or going to be the one partying with everybody or acting a fool. And so
yeah.
It's whatever.
You just gotta be smart, right? That's it.
Yeah, and it's difficult, but it's kind of, I didn't realize how many people, especially as you start talking to people, how many people don't drink.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I've seen it with my clients. Like I always ask, like, do you drink? Like, and how often? It's like, I don't. I don't know if they're telling the truth or not, but most people say like, I don't really drink at all. It's just something that's not interesting to me. So.
Yeah.
See it.
I did have to supplement. I drink these like near beers after hockey and that stuff, like all these like fake NA, because you still have to enjoy it a little bit or have some sort of routine. And I think that's where I fell in the trap for a while. Is I'd been drinking since I was like 14, 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And when I got up to Canisius, and we were like, when I was playing hockey with you, like it was nothing to have like 5 or 6 beers after a practice or like after a game or playing. And like looking back on that, like that's a lot of alcohol. Like 6 beers, you have 3 games or 3 practices, you're drinking like 30 beers in 4 or 5 days. Like it's kind of excessive.
If you think about it, look back, it's like, why did I even do that? It's like, because that's the thing. That's like what you're surrounded with. So
some of those like workouts that we had back in the day, I always think about Puma hit me up, and we still joke about Wheelchair Wednesday, like where we would go and lift weights and do heavy squats on Wednesdays, and before like that last hockey season, that was one of like the most fun times I had. I've always been a gym rat, but I felt like those workouts that we did like that summer were like super fun because it was all we were there because we wanted to be there. It wasn't somebody making us be there.
Yeah, nobody else was really doing it either. Like I was never a gym rat at all. I think I started going to the gym really. I mean, I did like 2 sessions a week with a trainer maybe in high school, one summer. Never really been in a gym until I started working out with you guys. And then when I became, when I started reffing full time, then we had to be in the gym because we just had to train. And not everybody did, but if you didn't, you could definitely tell the difference. And so I just kind of, it just became a habit and it just stuck. So, it's just about just what you're doing, and the consistency of everything. So yeah, but I was never like obsessed with it, like back in college or anything. So,
which is funny because I know me and you were like some of the guys that like work the hardest, like in practice just to get our ice time.
Yeah.
I always thought you were super into like working out or, pushing yourself. I didn't realize that like all those times we were working out that you weren't like, bench pressing behind our backs or whatever. I mean, you were always like strong on your stick and strong on your skates.
No, I just don't handle the puck. That's why I ref. So no, I just took power skating lessons. That's how I learned how to skate. And it cost my dad probably thousands of dollars in just lessons. So that's how I got better. Like I never went to the gym. I just technique, just skating. That's all I did.
I think where you grew up, you were super lucky. Like for somebody that's outside the area, you had so many rinks, and like hockey culture in Buffalo, especially South Buffalo, is huge. Like I can tell in your development that you've had some like skating classes and that you've put in some work. Like, can you talk about like your journey in hockey and how you started and kind of the fun stuff and where you've been and how you got to Canisius where we met?
Yeah. So, I think like a lot of young kids that grew up in Buffalo, our parents or our families got us into skating when we were really young. So I was 5 years old when I got started, and it was, just played house league and, just started playing up through high school and obviously, started playing college with you. And then, during that time, when I started playing travel hockey, I kind of noticed really how lucky I personally was to be in the environment I was in. I know it's not the same for everybody, but I think just because of being in the area and playing all the games and being on the ice all the time, it just has like an impact on you where it's just who you are. And then when I got to high school, and I captained my senior year team, it just kind of solidified that fact that, you can do something with hockey. And even for people who are playing adult leagues right now, maybe you didn't come from, an area like Buffalo or up in Canada or whatever, there's still opportunities for you to improve. So, and that's, when I got to Canisius, to be honest, I sort of lost that drive of wanting to advance as a player. I was already refereeing at the time, and how that kind of got started was because I was just interested in that other side of the game where you can get more ice time and you can develop even as a player. But like I took a real big interest in college, and that's kind of how the refereeing got started for me. And so did that for a couple years, and then was into the gym a lot, and then became a trainer, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Did you find that it was easy to prepare for the personal training. Did you do like NASM or ACE or one of those big companies?
Yeah, so I went through NASM, and they're like the most popular, which is kind of easy. Like, you go with the most popular, especially as a new trainer, because I started as a new trainer. My first job was at LA Fitness when I was living in Michigan, like 2 years ago it was. And like, I just worked with a bunch of people, and it was such a general thing. I would work with like the 75-year-old grandma, and then, the 18-year-old kid who wanted to improve his athletics, and, the guy who has like sciatica and, needs to just feel better. And so I worked with a ton of people. And so, that's kind of where that started for me. So
Somebody that's like newer, maybe in their 30s and 40s, that hasn't played competitive sports or like an activity since high school, what do you do before like their first session, or what do you tell them before that first session as far as like how they should prepare to like their body before they show up with you? Do you go over anything with them before, or is that first session like where you feel out kind of their level of expertise and skill and everything from there?
Yeah. So how I typically work with my clients is, like, if somebody comes to me, let's say somebody comes to me and they want to improve like their sport, like they're in hockey or they're in men's league. In fact, I worked and I can kind of tell you a story. I worked with a client who, his name's Sean, and came to me because we actually played hockey together. So, I knew him beforehand, and he wanted to come to me just to get back in shape, because he was always a skinny guy. And when I met him, I was kind of surprised, like, what had happened. Like, you've seen people after a certain amount of years, it's like, geez, what happened? So that's kind of where we were at. And so I kind of talked to him, and, typically I put new clients, we just have a consultation, just kind of first and foremost, go over, like, what is your current situation? Like, where are you at right now with the overall picture? Because it's not so much like training for athletics as much as it is training for what you're doing on an everyday basis. I think that's really important, because I think too many people get into this mindset of, I need to look better. I need to look like the InstaFit trainers that you see on Instagram. Like that's not it at all. It's about how you feel. And if you're sick with your current situation, then you can take the steps to change it. So that's kind of what we went through. And one of the things with him was, he just wanted to get back to where he was before he started drinking beer. Like, that's kind of what it was. So, yeah, we'll go through like initial testing and assessments. One of the major ones is just for posture, like to see if there's any muscular imbalances. And then the training is real specific and works through those. So at the same time, if you have a goal like weight loss, we'll get like laser focused on that and just knock that out, so we can get to some of those other things. And so there's a typical process I'll put clients through. Like, the first stage would be, because hockey is such a balanced sport, like it's single-legged, you're skating on one leg. You have to focus on stability and balance first. That's number one. From there you go into endurance, because you have to, skate for long periods of time. If there's only 10 guys on your team, let's say, you've got to be out there for half the time. You have to have really good endurance. So that's number two. And the third thing is for power, because you have to be quick on your feet as well. So if you build in those stages, and that's typically what I work through with my clients, you're going to see results on the ice.
That's one thing that I didn't think of when starting to work with some of these adult hockey players, is I underestimated somebody's want to say, like, I want to lose X amount of pounds playing hockey. Like, that's never something that I've thought about or like planned or worked around. And so that was something like common right out the gate. And I'm still kind of like dealing with the idea and playing with different like modes and modalities, and whether it's nutrition or, calorie deficit or some of these other things like with these guys. But I had never thought about that. Like, hey, I play hockey 2 nights a week. I want to lose some extra pounds. Like, can you help me do that? I I don't know. I never thought you could do that, but it makes total sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think diet and nutrition is also a big component of that. Like if it's weight loss specifically, it's calories in, calories out, and that's really, you can go into like reasons why that's not true. But at the end of the day, if you burn more calories than you're consuming in 7 days, you're going to lose weight. The key is, do you stay? Do you stick with the weight loss, or does it come back? Because one of the things that I've learned is when you build muscle, and you can't really build muscle doing strict cardio. When you build muscle, it's hard to lose it compared to fat, because fat can fluctuate your weight more so than muscle can. So I see this with people who do like cardio a lot. Their weight will fluctuate. It's because fat will fluctuate along with what you're doing. So yeah, and it's good to kind of cross train too, to train for strength. That's going to help you on the ice as well.
It's funny you mentioned those times when you have like 10 guys show up. The second pro game I played ever, there was 10 guys on the bench, and I got, I think, 29 minutes of ice time. So I'm so lucky that the cardio for me has always been something that's easy. I play beer league a couple nights a week, and it's not untypical for me to like Ironman a whole game. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'll play the entire game. And so I'm glad that I had put in the work. So when that like opportunity came, there was only 10 guys. We actually started with 11 guys. I'm laughing telling this because it's the most ridiculous minor hockey story. We started with 11 guys and one kid quit. Like at intermission, he just like, I think the coach said something to him to try and get him going, and it came off wrong. And the kid was from Eastern Europe, so I think there was a language barrier there too. So the coach was like, "If you're not going to play, just take your crap off." And I think he wasn't being serious, but the kid took it serious and just got undressed and
just left.
Right. So yeah, it's. And I didn't feel
he just quit. He just flat out quit. He never came back.
I don't know. I actually think that he got traded to that team that we played that night. That night. So
what league? What league? What I forgot.
The Fed Hockey League.
Yeah. How many teams are in
that? There was 12 or 13. They added a couple more, and they're expanding to some markets. But with COVID happening, the Illinois, Ohio, and I think Michigan maybe are all not having pro sports. And so, so I don't know if they're going to do a condensed league. The SPHL is doing a condensed league. I think they have two divisions, like in 6 teams.
Yeah.
The 2 teams in Florida, a team in Macon, and a team in Knoxville. The Illinois teams aren't playing because of COVID, so the map will look a little bit different. Actually, ECHL began today. With the first regular season game for the ECHL, so it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens with like if they're going to call up a bunch of guys, or the AHL. I don't think it's started yet, so there's probably like a huge bubble of dudes waiting to sign with the team or play. But I don't know how travel is going to work. Like there's so many people, there's so many Canadians that play in these SPHL, FPHL, AHL, the ECHL, that I wonder if it's going to be hard for some of these guys that have to sign a PTO or have to try out for a team, if they're going to be allowed to travel back. So, who knows, hope there might be an opportunity for me to play like in a league where I don't belong just because I'm willing to drive there, and like they're short on guys and stuff.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing too. Yeah.
Does that ever happen with refereeing? When you were reffing, did you ever get a call like 24 hours before games, like, "Hey, we need you here," and you had to drive and show up?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a specific time where that happened, because it's happened a couple times. But like nothing too drastic where you have to drive like 8 hours to get to a game. But yeah, I mean, it happens. Like guys will get sick or just can't make it, and you just got to fill in right away. So. But I can't think of anything specific. It was just maybe a 2-hour drive to like Grand Rapids or something, and that's about it.
Those Was it USHO or was it NHL?
So I've worked in the North American League, USHL, and I did college club too. So, and it's funny, like the college club that we played in is a lot more serious. I'm sorry, the college club we played in is not as serious as like the college club you'll see in like Oklahoma and Texas. It's actually crazy how much different it is. And like, because I've reffed both of Oklahoma's teams, and it's good hockey. Like those kids will go on to, they'll play in like the Southern Pro League. They're players that used to be in the North American League, so it's good hockey, and it's kind of funny how much different hockey is across, like in the Midwest, compared to how it is in Buffalo. That's one of the biggest things for me, playing in Buffalo and reffing Buffalo, and then going to another place. Like people and laws tend to lighten up a bit, and so like the hockey just gets crazier. It's kind of funny how it works that way.
I've got some crazy club hockey stories from Texas and Oklahoma from back in the day. So before I played at Canisius with you, I played D2 club with University of Kansas back in like 07, 08.
Yep.
We played one spring break. We took a bus down and we played all the Texas teams like Texas Tech.
Yep.
Oklahoma, UCO and Oklahoma were Division I teams. We played both of them and got smoked, and that kind of opened my eyes to like, oh, there's a higher level to this, and that actually ended up opening the door for me to go play Division I up at Canisius. But we were in Texas. My buddy Adam, he got scratched. And this was like a Friday afternoon game. It was like the fourth day on the road trip, spring break. My buddy Adam, he got scratched. He had a couple adult sodas before on the bench while he was like chilling, and got into a fight with a group of students from the school. And as we were leaving the ice for the first intermission for them to do the Zamboni, like 13 kids all threw their beers, their cans of beer, their tall boys of beer at this kid Adam. And it was the most ridiculous club hockey game after that point. Like, I think 2 or 3 fights, a bunch of kids got kicked out. They actually had to bring the police in to kick those kids up that were throwing those cans at us. Like, ridiculous.
Dude, those games get nuts. Like Oklahoma games, we had kids in the corner one time. I think they were pouring beer, or like, I don't know, like spitting on kids in the corner, and I was just like we're not gonna like this group over here. Like, you've got to move. Like, we had to get people to move them. So it gets nuts. And these are like rec buildings too. They're not like professional arenas. Like there's 1,000 people packed into this place. It's nuts. I remember there was one time where we were at, I think it was UCO. And there's two rinks there, the main rink and the auxiliary rink. So there's a big hole in the main rink. So we took all 1,000 people and put them in this little small rink right next door. That was probably one of the crazier games because it was like louder in that little small space. It was kind of funny.
I always remember the Naval Academy game.
Yeah,
where those kids were riding the inflatable whale behind him. Like,
yeah, I remember that.
Bill was a freshman, and that was his first start. And we put him in, and there was like 200 people there, and there was kids riding an inflatable whale behind him. He was so rattled after that. Like, that was the funniest. That was the funniest
picture of that somewhere. I don't know.
I like small barns like that. Like Nichols, I think is perfect for a club hockey team.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Northtown is nice depending on which rank you're on over there, but same thing with Buff State. Like, I think kind of like the older barns is kind of the cool thing about club hockey. You don't need some like we did play a lot of D1 arenas, which was cool, but some of my favorites are like those small barns, those tiny places we played.
Remember Hershey Park?
Oh yeah, that might be my favorite place we've ever played.
Like an opera house.
Yeah,
crazy.
And Wilt Chamberlain had that like first 100-point game in NBA history there.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's just amazing. Like all the stuff that's happened, those old buildings. I think MSG is probably older actually than Hershey Park. Maybe we're on the same time, but it's crazy. Like, and I agree. Like the smaller barns are just the older ones. Like, because you see these new places, like like Joe Louis Arena will not be the same as Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. There's no way that the history, you can't replace it with a new building. So,
well, that's what everybody said about, what was it, the Memorial at Buffalo, the Odd.
Yeah, the Odd. Yeah,
yeah, the Odd. So I think that's always going to be the case. There's a couple places here in Kansas City. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but it's where Kemper Arena is where the old IHL Blades used to play. It was like this old rusty concrete place, totally out of the 80s, but cool barn. Never got to play there.
Yeah.
So before we're closing in on 40 minutes here, so I'll let you go. I know it's Friday night. You probably got a hot date. Probably getting out.
I wish I did. I still got to get to the gym, to be honest with you.
Love it. I love it. I just came from the gym. I skated today with a couple guys and then hit the gym. So before we take off here, like, just go over some tips, or just like have a conversation with me about, like, pretend I'm an adult hockey player looking to improve my fitness or improve my game. Like, what are some of the things that I should be doing, whether it's routine or exercises or something like that?
Yeah. So obviously everybody has their own starting point. And so, if I were to tailor advice to somebody, that's exactly what I would do. I would figure out, like, what are your goals? Like that is your starting point. Like, cause none of the work that you do is going to be any helpful until you figure out what exactly you want out of your fitness, how you want to improve your game. And then really just the why behind it. Like, why is this important to you? Is it for you just to feel better? Is it for you to, to just improve your game because you're, like, lacking in cardio, or just figure out what that is. Like, why is this goal important to you? And then just deciding your commitment, like 1 to 10, 10 being I'm going to do this, 1 being I'm just flat out not going to do it. Just what is that commitment? And then, nutrition. So I can just give you a couple basically 10,000 foot view of things you could do. So, first thing is, as far as activity, if you just worked out 200 minutes a week, and by working out, I mean vigorous walk, that's the bare minimum. If you did that 200 minutes a week, which is about 30 minutes a day, you'd be in the top 5% of people in America that are fit. Like, we're in a pandemic, but I think what's worse than that is we're in a crisis of people that are overweight and just unhealthy. We've got people who, are in hospitals because they couldn't take care of themselves and have the discipline to do it. So, but if you just discipline yourself to get in that 200 minutes and just aim for 200 minutes, that's your benchmark. If you can get that and you do that throughout the week, you're going to be in great shape, and, everything will just take care of itself. So second is nutrition. It's water is the biggest piece that I see with clients that I work with. If you don't have enough water, you can't perform well, and you can't take the nutrients that you're consuming and translate it into muscle. You can't translate it into everything else that's important for athletics. So I just carry a gallon, or just what I do is I have a gallon, I transfer it to another container, and I just drink out of that. And I make sure I try to get a gallon. If you can't do a gallon, do a half gallon. So, but you've got to increase water. That's the most important. And I know for guys, it's hard to get, vegetables in. Some guys just absolutely hate them. I mean, there's other things you can, supplements you can take that can help there, but that is really an important piece that a lot of people don't get. So, I say water first and veggies most for every meal that you have. And then increase your protein, because you have to have solid muscle. You have to have power to get you through, through skating and through everything else that you do. And then, I guess the next thing is, when you're training, you train for exactly what you want to get out of it. So if you want to build your biceps, you do bicep curls. Simple. But some people are like, I want to lose weight, but they're doing things that are counterproductive to that. So muscle burns fat. That's huge. So if you're not training for resistance, you're going to be limiting yourself when it comes to, if you're overweight and you want to lose weight, that's going to be a challenge to incorporate resistance. But if you do that, it's going to accelerate progress, and you're going to lose what you need to perform better. And then when you've had a solid base of fitness, then you can translate it into more power moves. So if you're a little bit older and you're in your 40s, maybe that's not possible, but you have to get the basics down first. And so, each client I work with is different, and it's kind of a basic, again, 1,000-foot view. But, it just starts with, what is the first step you're going to take? And you just take that step, because you get overwhelmed with everything. You just got to take that first step, and you just got to trust yourself that it's going to happen. You're going to improve. And there's no other way than action, man. That's what it's always been. And that's really just the key to everything. Most people know what to do. They just don't do it. So, that's just it. Like do it. Like, there's nothing stopping you other than yourself. So that's really the best info I've got. And if everybody could just absorb that and understand that, then, I would be out of a job. So, that's the best advice I got.
Well, I think that's the best advice, because look how far it's taken you. And I know that you're like one of the hardest working guys that I played hockey with, and your level of commitment to like your own self and your body when we were working out, I could already tell it was something that you were like finding a passion for. Some kind of happy to see that you were able to carry it through reffing, and now you have like a foundation for your own self with personal training and, having a gym and hitting the gym and hitting it hard. What's the name of your gym, and where can people like check you out if they live in Buffalo and they want to get some info from you?
Yeah. So the facility is called Uppercut Fitness. It's we're in Hamburg, New York, and we do one-on-one training. So if you're interested in basically achieving your goals in fitness, definitely look us up. We're on Facebook, Instagram. I have a online space from that business. It's called X Athletics, which you can also find us on Facebook as well. And then one of the great things, and this is kind of unrelated to what we're talking about, one of the big pieces of Uppercut Fitness is for people who have Parkinson's disease. So we also work with people who have Parkinson's too. If anybody knows anybody who is struggling through Parkinson's, let us know too, because that's also a piece of the business. But we're looking through the new year. We want to improve what we do. So definitely check us out, and you'll see what we've been up to lately.
Awesome. Well, thanks for chatting with me. We'll have to make this like more than a one-time thing, because this was fun. I mean, we just blew through like 40 or 45 minutes, and that seems like we didn't even talk about anything. So
right.
We'll have to link up and stay in touch, and maybe hop on another one. And I'll have some of these guys ask me some questions, and I'll write them down, like specifics or like some goals they have, and maybe next time we hop on, I'll ask you the questions.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just let me know. Like, shoot me a message. Do you got my number also?
I think I do still. I have my old phone still, so I'll look it up. If not, shoot it to me in a private message, and
okay,
we'll chat on a couple things, because it's been fun.